So let's look at the denial emotions. Anger. There's only usually two reasons for anger. One is we have an expectation that's not getting met. All right? So that's number one. I have an expectation in me that my environment, you guys, are not meeting. You're not treating me nice, I'm angry with you. Does that make sense? It's my anger, there's something inside of me. It comes from a deeper emotion within myself. No matter how you treat me, if I'm angry, there's something within myself that I need to address emotionally. Right? That's the key thing to remember there. Anger is really good emotion, and we've talked about anger a lot in the past, because anger tells you, it's your guide towards your fear. Anger tells you when you're afraid. So if you can remember that. When I am angry, I am just afraid and denying it. So if you can remember that. When I am angry, and replace with angry if you want, slightly annoyed, frustrated, and all of those things that are all related to anger. When I am angry, I am just afraid, but denying it. So anger is an excellent tool to tell you when you're really scared about something. And I don't mean physically scared, I mean emotionally scared about something. Dennis, if we could have a mic, if you leave your hand up, because that way...
Hey Jay, is it possible to have fear to get into anger?
Certainly. If anger can also be, remember, a causal or a blocking childhood emotion. So remember that sometimes in your childhood you had deep grief associated with constant bad treatment, right? And then that then clicked into a blocking emotion, and the blocking emotion, that grief, is often anger at the childhood level. And then you could have adult fear about dealing with your anger, certainly. So that certainly does apply. But you won't have adult anger about dealing with your adult fear. Sorry, the other way around. Adult fear about dealing with your adult anger. It'll be coming from some kind of childhood.
Yeah, it
cause.
feels, I can feel it there, but I'm quite frightened.
Yes. Well, you think about what happened to most people when they were little, when they got angry. What did mum and dad do then?
Shut you down.
Well, usually you got a belting, right? Corporal punishment usually was the aim of the game, generally, in that state. So what do you associate with getting angry? Pain. So obviously that association needs to be broken in order for you to work your way through that emotion. So that certainly can be the case. But remember, even if that is the case, the anger, even the childhood anger, is still the denial of the childhood grief. Does that make sense? So it still applies, what I'm saying still applies really in the end. There's these layers, and if you've got the adult layer suppressing the childhood layer, that's just an additional layer on this path, if you like. The key is to allow yourself to experience, and when you do, you'll get through them all. But it certainly can be the other way around, at the childhood level, but not at the adult level. Yeah? So does everyone understand what I mean by that? Yeah? So I feel a bit of uncertainty about that from some... No? Okay, you don't have to answer questions if you don't want to. All right, so my anger, which is my denial emotion, my anger is a great tool, you know. It's a great tool. Fastest way to shut down another person, get angry with them. So we learn that at a very young age. Get angry, and we use anger in two ways. One way is because we've had some grief or pain that is over and over and over, reoccurring over and over again. Now, when we have reoccurring grief or pain, we eventually get angry. So most children have had that, when you think about it, reoccurring grief or pain. How many of you felt unloved very young age and then felt unloved most of your childhood? Over and over and over again, right? Majority of us, really. So what's happening there is the feeling of being unloved, feeling I'm unloved again, I'm unloved again. Eventually you get so hurt inside of yourself that you just get angry about it, right? Because we're not releasing the grief, and the grief is just happening over again and over again. And so eventually we get angry. So that's a childhood anger-based emotion, which we often then tried to express, and then we got shut down through pain. So we got punished or whatever for expressing it, and we got shut down through pain. So now we've got the blocking emotions of our childhood anger and pain associated with our childhood anger. So that's one of their blocking emotions. Now, if you think about it, what was shutting us down really, even at the childhood level, was fear of pain. Does that make sense? It's not actually fear of anger, because we were fine getting angry before we got the pain, right? It's actually the fear of pain associated with anger. That's the reason why we shut down a lot of times. Anyway, so we shut down at childhood level. We're so afraid now of the pain that now as an adult we're protecting our pain all the time, right? And so every time our pain gets triggered, bang, I'm into protection of my pain zone, you know. And as soon as I'm in protection of the castle, as it's often called, right? So we've got this castle of emotions and we're just trying to protect them all the time. So there's our anger. Remember I said there's two reasons for anger? And just to cap them again, one is that we have an expectation that is not being fulfilled from our environment that is not being fulfilled. Now, underneath that expectation from our environment is really a feeling that you should fix something that I have inside of me. You see that? So if I get angry with you, I'm saying that you're responsible for what I'm feeling. That's really what I'm saying. And you're not responsible for what I'm feeling, but I want to make you responsible for what I'm feeling. Why would I want to do that? Because I don't want to feel it myself. Right? And instead I want to make you responsible for causing me to feel it and you responsible for fixing it. Right? So that's one reason for anger. The other, obviously, reason for anger, and in fact the majority of times, the second one is the truth, and that is we're just afraid. We're just really afraid. But we don't want to admit to ourselves we're afraid. What happens when you admit to yourself when you're afraid when you're a little kid at school? Everybody starts picking on you and, you know what I mean? You're a weakling and you're gutless and, you know, everyone starts laughing at you and so what do? You put on this other facade. The other facade is I'm the brave Johnny, you know, and the brave Johnny, he does everything that AJ wouldn't normally do. Right? So... and he's the one who looks after me in the end, really. But it's really, in the end, an avoidance of the underlying fear of total vulnerability.